Hey there, fans. So this is my second video. I figured this time I'd do a full painting. As a lot of you know, I go into the Disney parks once a week and create character designs out of tourists that I see walking around. And so I figured I'd take one that I did several months ago that was one of the better drawings and bring it to finish. Just real quick for those on YouTube, if you like the video and you want to see more, please do me a favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit like and also share the video if you would. That would be great. Just want to throw that out there. So let's get started. For those that are in the Orlando area, I will be down at a art and wine walk down in Celebration, Florida next to Disney tomorrow, which is Saturday the 20th from 10:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. with a tent. I'll be selling my books and prints, canvases, and original sketches. So there's that. I invite you all to come down, say hello if you're here. That'd be great. So yeah, this particular tourist was drawn in Hollywood Studios several weeks ago. I have several locations that I like to draw in, just a little out of the way, not totally hidden, but definitely, a little bit out of the way. There's various restaurants that have outdoor seating and things like that that I eat at, and we'll just pull out my sketchbook and draw. And I do have a collection of these characters in a book form. In a first volume, it's called Tourist Year One. It's available on my website, which I will give you guys a link to near the end of the video. I'll just pop it up on the screen as well, but below the video there will be a link to my online store. And you're welcome to peruse what I have for sale. Like I said, I've got prints on there, I've got books, I've got canvases. Only thing about canvases is they take a little bit to order because I order them, I have them made to order. I don't keep them in stock because I want to ensure that you guys get the best quality, so that way I order it. If there's any flaw or anything, I send it back, have them redo it, and send it out to you as quickly as it meets my standards, which, it's usually a couple of weeks, a month at the most. So I hope everyone is doing well. This particular tourist was great. She obviously had had enough of being in the park. I had arrived there in the afternoon, and she looked to be in her early 20s. I think she was there with her family. Her little brother, or what I'm assuming is her little brother, wanted to go ride Star Tours, and she wasn't having any of it. So she was walking around with a Starbucks in her hand, because they have Starbucks in the parks now, for those that don't know. And just throwing attitude everywhere, and she had her Mickey ears on, which I'm changing the shape of, copyright and all that. I don't mess with that. I take artistic licenses, they call it, and change certain aspects. And also, this is not a caricature. I change small aspects of her face and things like that, but the character is her. At least her attitude, clothing. I take what I see and I convert it into a cartoon character, if you will. So I figured I'd give it a pencil sketch style for the outline, and a lot of times I won't use an outline. This is just faster for video's sake. And also too, I'll mention this, I'm not exactly a teacher. I just like to share my technique, and if you can get something out of it, fantastic. More power to you. I'm not claiming to teach anybody how to be a great artist. I just like sharing what I do, and if what I do helps you in any way, awesome. I'm happy about it. If you just want to enjoy watching the art being created, more than welcome to. I welcome that as well. So, but I have a deep love for Disney. I've been going since I was a kid. I've always people watched, but it was only in the last 5 or 6 years or so that I started creating character designs. It was a way just to get out of the studio for my own fun, just to clear my head and get it ready for new art and new stuff for clients, things like that. And I have an annual pass, and I figured why not go down there and just sketch a little bit, and it turned into a thing. Like, I'd started posting on Instagram, and people gradually started liking them more and more, and I said, this could actually be a book. It'd be a really cool book. So I turned it into a book for Kickstarter, and it got funded. So those that are watching that helped me with my Kickstarter, thank you very much. You got your books. You know you can see all the hard work that went into it. I am at work on year 2. I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years, so I'm well past the actual year 2, but the book would be called year 2. I'll have more and more on that, as I get closer. It'll be a little while because I realized I need to have more new content for the shows that I go to and the outdoor things that I do. So and the video content, I'm learning more about video content and how to prepare video for YouTube and make them snazzier, things like that. I'm a novice at it, I admit. There are people who are far better at video production than I, so I'm learning. I'm trying to create a good intro and outro, things like that. So for right now, I'm just stuck with the still images that I do. So I'm figuring it out. So just bear with me as these first videos roll in. Quality gets better as I go. I'm not sure how long this one's going to take me today, but the line's going well, so we'll see. And there will be periods of time where I won't talk. Don't worry. If my voice is driving you nuts. I am excited that Star Wars The Last Jedi is rumored to be coming out on DVD and Blu-ray at the end of March. I'll be picking that up. And my apologies to those who did not enjoy it. I know that split the fan base down. I did. So there you go. We'll be greedily snatching that up into my hands and getting it as quickly as possible. And for those that are in Memphis watching this, I will be at the Mid-South Con, March 9th, 10th, and 11th, I believe the dates are. I'll have a table there. I was turned on to it when I was at the Mid-South Science Fiction and Fantasy Convention by the guy who runs Mid-South Con, and thought that I might be a good fit for a show. So hey, why not give it a shot? Why not? I'm always up for those. I like doing shows, selling my work, meeting people face to face, and sharing it with them. That's always fun. And I will be at Atlanta Comic Con this year. It's a brand new one. It's not Dragon Con. That one's at a different time of the year. This is Atlanta Comic Con. It's put on by the same people that do the one in Tampa. And I'll be at that one in July, and I will be back in Tampa. I'll be back in Tampa in August, and then back up in Memphis again in November. So lots of stuff going on. I'll also be at Artlando again this year. I believe that'll be in the fall, and I'll be at of course, like I said, celebration tomorrow for the Art and Wine Stroll, and also again there for that in February. So if you are in town and you can't make it to the one tomorrow, no worries. Come to the one in February. I'd love to see you. Hands are a little big, fingers a little big. Okay, so more about the art and less about shows. I know last time I was doing the next piece for my Octopus series. That's a series of paintings, and this time I figure, I'll take one of my tourists. I used to do the tourists on here all the time. I switched over from Facebook Livestream because Facebook Livestream is so glitchy with so many issues, and all the friends that I have that are in the character design for animation industry like me have at least some kind of YouTube presence, so I figured I'd give that a shot. Share what I do. I'm making her fingers a little smaller because the size of her hand on the left is way bigger than the one on the right, and that was you draw quick when you're in the parks, and I just wanted to get the idea down. I'll perfect it in this stage. So I also received some comments the last time I did a video for YouTube that the sound is much better now, so I'm glad of that. I got a new mic, much better mic for this kind of thing. And a big shout out to my friend Shanasia, who is also a fan, who put up a promo video on her channel to point people here. So if you're here because of her, welcome, and a big thank you to her. Also check out her channel. I'm trying to work on how to figure out posting a link on the video so you can see hers. She's a young aspiring artist, really talented, has a big future ahead of her. Really sweet girl. She's the daughter of one of my old buddies from Sarasota from back when I was in college, and somebody I worked with. Really nice guy named Bob. Just lovely family, lovely people. So I do a lot of sci-fi and fantasy. This is, more comedy than anything and observational, which helps the sci-fi and fantasy stuff that I do that's made up. The more observational drawing that I do, the better the other art gets, because it keeps me in practice, keeps me in touch with real things. We're going to make that leg behind her more of a silhouette. I like these flowing lines. I like these nice wavy breathing lines. Something beautiful about them. Makes the eye move around the piece, makes it move around the character. I'm just working quickly here. Like I said, I'm going to do the leg and silhouette behind her, so I'm just worried about I'm not worried about detail on that. I'm just worried about shape, language. The next one I'll do for YouTube will be a themed one. Pick a subject and just do ideation sketching off of it. I was thinking about maybe doing a character of a super spy or something like that, something cool. In my signature style, of course. So, a bit whimsical, a little funny. Alright, and she is inked. Alright. I was throwing a shadow to ground them. That may change later on. Let me take back in this. Alright, good deal. So now I'll start filling in colors. She had kind of a mocha colored skin. I could not tell her ethnicity based on looks. She was exotic looking, very, colored skin. I'd say she had a bit of African American in her because of some of the facial structure she has, things like that. But the skin was an olive mixed with a mocha. It was very unique. And that was secondary. All I saw was the attitude as she walked by, which was hilarious. That's just what she was, and you accept that and move along. It was great. I do love people watching. I really do. It keeps me occupied when other things are going on, and let me make sure I got the, oops. Yeah, that's what I thought. Create another layer. I accidentally started drawing on a new layer where I was supposed to put the color. Alright, and I have a whole set of watercolor type of brushes here, and when I'm using Clip Studio Paint, it's my go-to for this kind of thing. I mean, yes, I use Photoshop and other programs as well, but this is my go-to sketch program. This and Mischief, which you've heard me talk about before for those that have been paying attention to me. Fill in this real quick. I'll neaten up the lines later on. And the dress is going to get painted over the skin, so I don't care about that. Same thing with the hair. But she was a delight to draw, and you have to be very quick when you're doing this kind of artwork. I was sitting on a bench, and there's one specific location in Hollywood Studios that basically watching all the people walk by is like watching a cattle call. Pardon me. It's just a huge group of people, and some of them move fast, some of them move slow, and if they catch your eye and they're moving fast, brother, you better get that pencil moving. And I have friends that work in the parks that I meet for lunch, and they'll inquire about what I'm doing. They'll get a kick out of seeing my artwork. And the idea isn't to be insulting with these drawings for me. The idea is to showcase what everyone sees when we go. I look for the typically atypical, the people that are all there but are unusual and stand out, but everybody's seen them. The type of person. And there's a million of them that you associate with theme parks. They're everywhere. And my idea was to showcase that. So I'm going to color in the back features here just roughly, but like I said, the back leg's going to be in shadow because I want to pop this front leg out really strong. So I'm just going to rough in color for that back leg. And for those that are interested, recently there was a book published by Disney that I had a hand in. There's a TV show on Disney Junior called Puppy Dog Pals, and they have a whole book series that they have produced based on this little kids show. And I was fortunate enough for a company called Premise Entertainment, who does a lot of the artwork for those books, to call me and ask me to do some pickup art layout work for them. So basically I would do the rough sketch on, I think on this book it was like 8 pages worth. And you know, so if you're interested and you want to see it, this particular book is called Puppy Dog Pals Adventures in Puppy Sitting. And it has a read-along CD, like, that has the cast of the show reading the characters, you know, in the book, so your kids can enjoy that. And it's just cute. And there's several pages in there, and I'm fortunate enough that they kept a lot of my initial design because it goes through a lot of artists' hands while they're producing this book. It's production by committee. It's pretty atypical for a large company to do it that way. But yeah, we're having fun with this. You know, I tend to draw in a frenzy when I first start. And I'll be honest, part of it's because I'm getting used to being, you know, to recording myself while I do it. A lot of artists are used to it. I'm still getting used to it. So I slow down and take my time as I go. You know, I sit and think and develop an idea about what I'm going to do before I actually hit the record button. So yeah, this is just a Chicka with attitude. Man, it was great. She was close enough that I could hear her throwing that attitude around with her family, and it was just fun to watch. It really was. She was really hilarious. Bring that down a little bit. There you go. And I'm doing a little more correction as I go here. I'm not too worried about being completely opaque. There's some areas in the paint here where it's not as opaque as other areas, and I want it to be a little looser. You know, I don't care if it bleeds out a little, because I like my sketch lines. Alright. And I try and keep my work under 20 layers. I know a lot of artists that do a ton of layers because they're afraid they're going to lose stuff, and I can't work like that. It's not light enough. Let's go way lighter than that. There we go. I block in the shapes because this program, like many programs, has a mask tool over the entire layer. So when you start, you can click the tool, and when you start painting, it only paints in the area that has paint. So when you're adding highlights and shadows and you want to keep it within the specific color you've already put down, it makes it really quick and easy. And you know, it's about speed, because when I'm doing client work, it's about speed. So when I go into the parks, or even Disney Springs, because that's in my rotation, I go to a different park or Disney Springs every week. When I go into the parks, I just take in a very small Moleskine sketchbook with a variety of pencils. I use anything from Blackwing, Palomino pencils to, I don't know, pen and ink, brush pens, just, you know, just about anything like that. Yeah, that's good. All right. And I'll use anything like that. Should have lighter jeans on. All right. So yeah, this is the layer that's underneath that shirt, but over the top of the skin. So when I overlap, I don't have to worry about it blending or screwing up. Like I said, back leg. Really should have put that back leg, all the color on that on a single layer behind it, but I'll deal with it. I'm not worried about it. It's okay. I'll put the shadow on a layer on top of it all and just go over that area. Little tricks here and there. Oops. There we go. Okay. Nice. All right. You know what? I'll go ahead and add her hair to that layer too. I'll lighten that so I can see the line underneath. I know the color that I'll end up with, but I just want to make sure it's dark, and I want to make sure it's all right. She has a head of hair. The other project, which I've been working on for about the last 3 or 4 years now, maybe longer, is for a company called Magic Synapse, run by a very good friend of mine named Stephen Hodges. And it's a project called The Magic Poof. It's about a little girl with magic hair that has its own personality and takes on its own life. And it's animated show material. I worked on the artwork for the pitch for it. We pitched to Nickelodeon. It's being pitched soon to another company, along with my book Aliens and Outlaws, as an animated show. And this hair kind of reminds me of hers. But there are 2 children's books that I did based on the idea of the Magic Poof for Stephen, called The Magic Poof, and the second one is called The Magic Poof, A New Friend. And those are available on Amazon, or you can go to themagicpoof.com and look on there. Another printing has been done because they're very popular. He does school visits and things like that. It's a really cute idea. It's a great idea. It has a lot of diversity in it, about being different and still being, still fitting in. Let's pop that back up. There it is. There's that dark, beautiful, luxurious hair. All right. Don't worry about her eyes. I'll work on that later, but I am going to get rid of that sketch now because I don't need it anymore. Okay. And that'll actually give me a much better view about where my lines are and where they aren't. Okay. Just do a little bit of cleanup here. I'll add a background of a sky with some clouds in it maybe, or something like that. Just something to give a little bit of reference. Alright, now I'm taking out the eyes. There we go. Like I said, lots of attitude. Nice. All right. The stuff that'll be behind her would be the coffee cup. That's an odd color. Let's go with a... Yeah, it's runs from the pressure that I'm putting on the pen on my Cintiq is what is giving it its soft or its somewhat opacity and then non-opacity. It's the tool I have selected. It's a watercolor tool, so. That, ladies and gentlemen, is my phone. I have the horn from the Disney Cruise Line on there as my number. I know it's a little annoying, but you can't miss it, and I can hear it all over the house. And that's important when I got a client calling me if my phone's in the other room. I had to stand there for a while to get that as the boat leaves. So, there you go. A little fun bit for you guys. All right, let's add another layer so I can paint behind that. Oh, you know what? I had the wrong... That's why it was coming out weird. There we go. Oh, whew. Man, I had the pencil selected. That's why I was like, wow, why is it not bristly? Okay. She had the same basic color of hairband, except it was a little darker. There we go. All right. Like I said, I'm cleaning up some things as I go. Since this is all behind that, I can put the ears in. And I changed the color up for that too, so we'll make it adhere to the colors of the jeans. You know, they were black ears, but and that hair, it's going to lose itself if I'm not careful. I don't want to do that. I made them more like rabbit ears, you know, just like I said, shape, copyright, avoidance. Gives you the idea you know where she's at, but not directly. I'm pulling colors, other colors from her clothes and things like that to tie different parts together. There we go. Okay. All right. Just gotta do the shoes. Straps. No, too dark. She had these clog looking type of shoes on. You know, the other thing too is if you see more than one tourist that's interesting, you got to draw very, like, you know, or if you're just drawing people in general, just observationally, if you see one person that's interesting and you're still working on another, you got to draw fast. Like I said, it's important to keep moving. And some drawings just aren't going to come out well. You just accept it and move on. I've had my share of stinkers. Believe me. No, wrong position. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And I'll go ahead and do that shadow layer now for that back leg. So I'm not gonna worry too much. I'm gonna lower the opacity and then mess with it. Yeah. That's how we're talking about. I'm just trying to, like I said, pop that. She had that kind of curvy kind of walk going on, and I just wanted to capture that, so I threw that leg way out in front, and I just want to push that as hard as I can and make it as interesting as possible. And part of doing that, it's a technique I see commonly when people are just doing plain black and white pen drawings. They'll throw especially comic book artists, they'll throw whatever, like the hand or the legs or whatever is behind the figure in whatever action pose they're in complete silhouette. And I'm not going quite that far this time, but it's close. And that's only to make a point. Not everything has to be rendered. Some things can be indicated without being rendered. And I like that. I like the idea that it gives the eyes different things to look at, makes the picture more interesting. There it is. If I had more time, I would label my layers. Alright. Yeah, see how that front leg is now popping out? Just with a simple color change. That's it, just a darker color change, that's all. Alright, so let's start rendering this. I'll do the skin first. Yep. Go up to create another layer, and this little tool right here is that masking tool I told you about. It only applies what I'm about to do to the color on a layer below it. So let's play around with that color a little bit. Give it a little more of a dark hue, a little warmer shade. Okay. Yeah, we'll stick with the transparent watercolor. Immediately going to do the shadow underneath the chin. Add some shadow underneath the eyebrow, underneath the, I'm just going for the obvious shadows here. Other side of the ear. We're going to be blending in a minute, so I'm not too worried about this. Underneath the lip, bottom of the nose, definitely back here in this back cheek. Throwing it on here, and then just a general. And the tool I have selected will blend down into the color too, looks like it's doing. But I don't want to do that too much. I don't want to overdo that because then I lose some of the character I'm going for, to be honest. And I'll erase some of that back a little bit. Because it's a watercolor type of tool, and watercolor blends. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm just gonna throw a little bit of shadow right here. Actually, let's do this. Let's create what I know is the shadow leading up to her neck. There we go. The other thing too is you have to take into account what's casting the shadow. So for here, below this arm, I'm going to come back and add a shadow with some of this pink color in it, like a more of a reddish tinge, because it's probably a little bit sheer, just a tiny bit. And we're going to indicate that it, like I said, it draws things together. I'm thinking about light source, and it was, it's a sunny day. That's all. So, that's all I'm really worried about. And this is the simplest form. You could really, for a really tight rendering, just a beautiful overall rendering, you could go in and do some gorgeous things with a painterly style, but some more of a cartoonish style, so I can play with it differently. Push down that cheek a little bit. And we're going for the extremes, so I am going to take take that shadow color and put it all over, the leg back here, because like I said, I really want to pop that foot out. I've got that gray silhouette over the whole thing, which keeps it there, but I'm still indicating that it's behind her, so I'm still putting shadow color in where it's necessary. Okay. Same thing as her face, you've got these soft shapes that lead into hard shapes. She was a little bit bony down around her ankles, so we're going to indicate that. That's There we go. Alright. Now I will go to a blend tool, and I use a blur by fiber, which is just the one that they have with it. And I'm just going to play just a little bit, and I'll soften it up. I'm just making it a little more painterly and keeping the strokes alive. I'm cutting down into the shadows some, because I've overdone them a little bit, but we're not going to worry too badly about that. And we do need to add a little bit more down here. All right. A little bit of reflected light as I'm cutting back into the shadow, so I can indicate to myself where that's going to land. And this tool is really good because you can cut into it nicely. And I'll come back and add the color in, like I said about this cast shadow in a minute. Oops, too much cutting, huh? All right. Yeah, that's working out nice. I like it. Do need to do one thing real quick. Let me go back to that sketch. Yeah, there it is. I need to fix a line here. I need to add more of an underarm line here. There we go. Just a little case of necessary anatomy that you catch when you're going through this. Okay. But you know, you just work around. You work around the shapes. I'll add a lighter reflective light on the back to give it depth. That reflected light that's on the other side of the core shadow is important. Like this would be the core shadow right here and right here. There's a reflected light here because your skin glistens and it's catching light from everywhere. And the sun's a strong highlight, of course, but it's the sun that's also causing the reflected light because it bounces off of things around you and it reflects back on the other side of the shape. I'm just kind of filling in a little thing. There we go. Okay. On some of the shirt areas. All right, now I'm going to go back into that shadow and add some warmth to the some warmth and color to that one shadow. Just a little. Just like that. There we go. That's right. Okay. A little bit down here too because it's reflecting off the shirt. Same here. Just want to indicate. Very carefully indicate. All right. And the same thing down here with the blue jeans. So we're going to take and make this a little bit of blue that's dark, and I'm going to throw that in there just a touch. Just to, you know, and I'll blend that in because that's a little strong. And I'll use a blur tool to get that in there because I don't want it to be too strong. Perfect. Okay. Now it's time for the highlights. And I generally work on the same layer. And be careful, you know, because you've spent all that time working the shadows around. And I'm going to use a mascara on her, so I'm not going to worry about her eyelids yet. And it's a cool reflected light, so I'm not going to worry about the other side of her face with it either. And this is a lot of working back and forth, so we're going to... I'm just establishing where the highlights are at this point in time. We'll go into more detail as we go. And again, this is just my technique. This is what works for me. You may have your own, and that's cool. I love it. I love seeing other people's techniques. And if you're young and you're looking at this, you know, this is a good place to start. Figure it out. You know, you use something as a jumping point. I had a really good set of illustration teachers when I was at the Ringling School of Art and Design, and they taught several different, you know, they taught their own technique, but at some point in there, you just got to take it and run with it and figure something out that works for you to give your work the clearest voice that it can have. That's what I would say. And what you have the most fun doing. You know, you'll make discoveries in learning your own style that you never made using someone else, you know, using someone else's technique. You'll make discoveries there too, but there's something so rewarding about finding a new way to do something that is yours. Or finding that voice that you've been looking for so long. That's unique. I highly recommend experimentation, especially with digital medium like this. You know, experiment. Oops, that's on the base skin layer. I don't want to do that. There we go. Okay. I was fixing something on that layer and forgot to switch. I've done that too many times. All right. Now we can kind of strengthen up a few of those highlights now. Because like I said, it is sunlight out. And sometimes I'll just use straight lines to indicate, you know, that's part of my style too, to keep it as sketchy as possible. It's interesting. So the color that something is before it's affected by light and shadow is called local color. And this mocha color, this kind of, I don't know how it'll turn out in the recording because everybody's screen is different, but I'm painting in kind of a light mocha color for her skin tone, and that is her local color. That local color determines what her skin looks like. If it's got other colors shining on it through colored lights or whatever, that's the basis upon which you form your understanding of how the color works, at least for me. She had long legs, showcase those shins, her feet. I'm sad to say she had very large feet. Well, not sad to say, you know, be proud of it if that's who you are. Certainly interesting to draw. Alright, let me take a look at this. Yeah, it's going good. Okay. I'll do a little blur by fiber and then we'll soften it up and then I'll go back in and add some more if I need to. And this technique is a lot of what I'll do with the rest of her too. With her clothes and whatnot. Because the idea is for this to be, for when I do these, it's the idea is for it to be fast. If I'm taking my time on something, then I would take this long on just a small part, laying in, you know, just the highlights and whatnot. I've got a large painting I'm working on that's a sequel to my Ferg and the Fearful print that is, you know, it's huge and it takes up a lot more space and time, to put a Doctor Who reference in there, but not in that way. There we go. There's that lovely skin tone. There it is, with the highlights and whatnot. And you notice I'm not using white. White should be only used for the absolute lightest part of anything, and sometimes not at all. If you're painting in real paint, white is rudimentary. Black is not. Black should be avoided. You should be able to darken things with color, not with mixing it with black. That's a danger right there, to do that, because then things get muddy. Good deal. All right, it's going well. We'll blur by fiber in there again. Make sure the shadows are maintaining their shape. All right, there needs to be a little bit more strong highlight. I'm kind of wimping out on the highlight on her cheek, and I need to really kind of give that a better deal. I'm using, you know, a warm orangish yellow, you know, because it was a warm day that day, as opposed to today, because it's not today. It's in the winter time, and even in Florida it was freezing last night, so below freezing. Oh, wrong tool. Blur tends to spread things out, and I don't like that. I like to blend just enough to take down some of the rough strokes. All right. There we go. Okay. Let's do a smooth watercolor and see what that does on here. Nope, I don't like that. It's not working. Opacity. There it is. All right. It's a different, like each tool does something different, so you got to get used to it. And I needed to apply some strong color in some spots to move around, to push around a bit. Yes, going well, going well. That's exactly what I want. There we go. I mean, to a novice artist, color can be scary, and it's hard to understand and deal with. And that's where a good art education comes into mind. I'm not talking about college per se. There are plenty of online stuff you can do, a lot of good books, but having someone sit and talk you through it and show you techniques you can't replace that. You really can't. All right, now we're going to use a bit of white. Go back to my transparent watercolor. And actually, you know what? Go to my rough pencil. How about that? This is where you can have some fun with color, with line. And you can define shape with line, because she's got kind of this curved cheek highlight going on, so I'm going to do some of that. Do some of that. Do some of that. Yeah, I like this. Going nicely. It's fun to play with it. It really is. And we'll just use white as our reflective light, and I'll just use this tool for that. Also, it makes her look like she's perspiring a little bit if you use a really strong white as reflective and some strong dots and lines and things like that. And she was a bit. I mean, it was a hot day that day. It really was. It was just as summer was winding down. You know, so we're going to play with that. Probably the other reason she was throwing out... Ooh, that's a bit much. Probably the other reason she was throwing attitude. There we go. Okay, that's what we want. A little bit of reflective light right there. Okay, yeah, it's coming together nicely. Yeah, I like this. when I drop layers down, that's when I'll do the cleanup. If things are too far outside the lines and that I've given myself. There we go. Like I said, it's almost like you're using white chalk, and I do that. I don't use white chalk, but I use a white colored pencil and white pen on my marker drawings to do extreme highlights, and it's a bit like that, and it really is. Just to give the extreme, like the edge that's lit up. The more surface area you have, the more it's going to be lit, and the less defined it's going to be for detail, like, you know, musculature, things like that. Especially like here, you've got this broad circle or broad, smooth, curvy kind of face, but down here you've got a little bit of bone, and it's thin and narrow. It's not as much bulk, if you will. So it's going to be defined differently by the light and shadow around it. And yeah, there we go. Okay. And there's one thing I need to correct right here. I need to fix this. That almost looked like a second a second bony protrusion. I don't want to do that. That was not cool. We're gonna give it a straight down, and I'm gonna take away the skin right there. There we go. Okay, throw that down a little bit. All right, now I'll go back in and erase some, and go back up to her face too, and give her a bit more here. Yeah, it's going good. Okay. Now I'm going to drop that down, and now it's part of the same layer. Sweet. Okay, so I'll add little things here and too. She was wearing bright red lipstick. And we'll put that on there. And we'll use a hard pen for the highlight on that. Just a little tiny highlight. Just a little one. And just a little tiny shadow. That's usually right next to the highlight. It really makes the shine pop. Just like that. Okay. Yeah, just a little bit of... There we go. Okay. And then one thing I'm going to do too, after I drop that down, is darken her eyes. I just had the pencil sketch in there, but I always like the pupils and irises to be distinct in my work, along with the shine on there. So she had kind of these golden kind of eyes that were beautiful, but probably contacts, because these weren't natural, but you know, I draw it like I see it, so there it is. Oh, look at that. So in there, I do tend to stay too far out sometimes and miss certain lines. That's okay. I'm just giving the eyes a bit more color, and if you're ever wondering about how to do these, you got to think of like a satellite dish and how the color works. The eyes are shaped the same on the inside of the eye. That's how they're shaped, and that's a concave kind of a thing, and that's how it works. So you have to think that way as far as the color goes, and the banding of the color as it moves out. And I'll fix the, it's eating into the black that I put, but I'll fix that. We'll go real light. There's also a white outline around, a very, very, not white, but a very light outline around that darkness that's right in the middle. That's just beautiful. And the way eyes get bigger and smaller as they contract and open up like a camera lens. That's how you have to think about it. And that's where the color is. All right, now we'll go back and fix. Actually, you know what? Let me do this. Let me just paint this whole thing in black, and I will put a much better shine on there myself. Oops. Too much. There we go. Okay. But I'll do this on top of the pencil drawing, so it'll be right on top. There's the cartoony eyes that I'm looking for, those kind of big, shiny eyes. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, let's back up and look at that. Yes, perfect. Exactly what I wanted. All right. Okay, so next we will... I'm pretty happy with the skin as it is right now. If I need to change something later on, I will. This is just really quick, and, you know, I might need to blend maybe a little bit of this. Just a little. It's a little harsh right there. There we go. That works. All right. Let's get the shirt done. Okay, same deal. I add a layer, create a mask. And then I go to town just applying shadow like I did before. Just keeping in mind, you know, where cast shadow is, that this brilliant cast shadow that's being laid down. You know, from the breast down, there's the cast shadow. There's you know, curvature of the dress and wrinkles, but it hugged her form pretty closely up near the top. So I'm gonna keep that going. Remember which of these surfaces is facing away from where the sun is, and adding some curve there. Back here is a lot of shadow, so I'm just gonna roughly fill that in and cut in with that fiber tool. Oops. There we go. It keeps some of the highlights, some of the shape, and I can play around with it like clay almost. That's what this tool really does. It allows me to play, and I can add wrinkles in and things like that, and give the fabric character in a way that maybe I wouldn't have if I was just straight painting it with a regular brush. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Okay. If my dog starts barking, I apologize. I am doing this out of my home, and he sees people outside and other dogs outside, so he's got to let me know sometimes. There he is. In fact, let me go shut the door real quick. There we go. Okay, so shadows on this one went pretty quick. I'm pretty pleased with the way this is. It's not too bad, in my opinion. Alright, and we'll smooth just a tiny bit of it. I'm not going to worry about too much. I don't want to lose the character of what I've created, because some of it's really nice. I like it a lot. Alright, same deal. Sometimes I lose my tool, huh? In there, okay. started to lose my form in the head that I'd created, and I didn't want to do that. There we go. That's better. All right. I'm not going to overdo this because the dress is still darker than her skin. Or the, not dress, shirt is still darker than her skin. So I'm not just going to overload this with highlight because you don't, it just wasn't like that. That would be for reflected light over there, so I got to go on this side of it. There we go. Okay. Yep. And again, wrong tool. I keep forgetting. All right, there we go. Okay. Get out of that. There we go. I lost a little bit of the definition there that I wanted to keep, so I'm going to add some back in. And this time I will use the blend tool, because it keeps it large and I can move color around in a more voluminous manner. There we go. That'll work. I'm not going to use white too much on here. I don't want to. The skin was glistening, the shirt was not, so I'm just going to use it for the reflected light. Maybe a little, just right on the edge. Just to pop it out. There we go. Okay, now let's drop that down. I'll go for the ruffle on top, same deal, creating a mask. Start playing around with the darker version of that, and I'm going with cooler shadows on the clothes. If you have a warm highlight, you have a cool shadow. That's just the way it works. And we're going to go light with that, but I'm going to change the opacity of the actual tool so I don't kill the color. Because Lord knows I don't want to be a murderer of color. Just keep it kind of this flirty kind of ruffle on top that flips around with the wind. That's what I'm looking for. Lighten that up. I don't want it to be too dark, because it wasn't dark. It was light and ruffly, but it has shadows, so you have to indicate it. And it's a bit of tact and a skilled hand. Okay. Actually, that's not quite bubblegum enough. There we go. Yeah, bubblegum. That's a good term for that top color. The colors almost didn't go well together. Like, I don't know where she got this shirt, but I'm just painting it the way I saw it. These aren't color decisions. Like, sometimes I'll change colors around. Not in her case. And it did have a kind of a lacy pattern, and I'm going to put that on there too. And we'll do that easily by creating another layer with a mask. picking that same light color but giving it a really light color, and taking that rough pencil and just creating kind of just random swirls, because I don't know what pattern this was. I don't know if it was floral or not. I just know the impression it gave me when she was walking by. So that's what we're going to be going for. And there was a little bit in the dress too, so I'll do that as well. Yeah, that's nice. That's the way I wanted. Okay, so we're going to leave that just the way it is, and put some white on there, just to, again, for reflected light. And you know, it was ruffled and it still had some ribbing to it, so we're gonna do that. But for the shirt lace, I will do kind of that warmer yellowish orange that the highlight is in. And she had it kind of in stripes going down, so that's what we're going to do. I got to follow the curvature of her body, like curvature of the breast. They have to go under, so the lace goes there, and it follows the curve down, so it moves out a little bit, and then over. And I'm trying not to bear down too much because I don't want it to overwhelm what's there. And then here, you're just going to barely see, you know, what's here in the shadows. And I will add a little bit of pure white just to show that in the highlight you can see the stitching or whatever this was. Just a little bit. And only where the highlight is, because that pops that area out even more. And you kind of follow the lines you've already drawn. There. Okay. Alright. Next is her jeans. We'll blend that layer down. Get the jeans going on. And her hair too, because that's the same masking layer. And the hair will probably take the longest. Alright. So, a cooler version of the blue is, of course, skewing towards, I don't know, blue is about as cool as you can get, so you can go one way or the other with temperature. So I'm just going to go with a darker, slightly more purple version of it. Oops, there we go. Yeah, I have Homer Simpson yelling "dough" at me whenever I hit the wrong button. Again, one of those things you hear it and you won't forget, just like my phone. And I am going to add a lightness to like this rolled up part of her jeans. I'm going to just darken this right now, just like I did with her leg. And this, honestly, it's a no-brainer. It's just a general shade. There wasn't anything ornamental about her jeans. They were just jeans. Just regular old plain jeans. There weren't any frills on them or anything like you see a lot of jeans. They were just plain. I'm going to leave the lines, you know, mostly intact there. I really like the energy of them. Okay, same warm orangey yellow. Got to be careful so it doesn't turn green. So you don't want to overblend. There we go. Okay. Now it's diffused because jeans aren't shiny. At least these aren't. It's very diffused. Just working back and forth until I get the consistency that I like. Now the knee is the part that's sticking out the most, so it's going to be the lightest, like down near the knee anyway. Alright. Well, let me take care of that area that I just talked about with the lighter coloring, because that's the under part of the jeans. Oops. And let me bring my opacity back up. There we go, that's better. And we'll use a... I'll pick one of the colors from here to make the shadow, because that'll tie it in. A little more blur by fiber. Oops, a little smaller. A little bit smaller. There we go. Turn it back around. Alright, back to that highlight color. And I'm playing with brush sizes too, you know, fits the area well wherever I can fit the area well. Alright. Nah, that works. Alright, and then still go back in with the reflected light. Still important. A little bit. There we go. Okay. Maybe do this, add a little bit of stitching so that it looks like, oops, not quite that big, but a little line where the seam is, so it looks more like jeans. And maybe use a little bit of creative license and add in some lines down the jeans. There we go. Yeah, just something to give it character. It's starting to get plain. Yeah, that's going good. Okay. I like it. Now let's do the hair. And this could take forever if I wanted it to, but we're not gonna do that. We're gonna very quickly go through like the technique that I normally do. So I use a rough kind of like, especially with this really tight curly beautiful full hair that I see all the time, and this is the same technique, rough technique basically, that I used for the Magic Poof book series and the character designs for that. You know what? Using the highlight color in the shadow area, that's not good. So there we go. Okay. I rough in the highlights and the shadows, and then start blending and drawing and blending and drawing and blending and drawing until I have this really nice, beautiful curled consistency. And I always take and add some ink lines to make it look like there's spare hairs kind of straggling out. You know, it's not, nothing's ever exactly perfect as much as we'd like it to be. So I'll do that, and then I'll go in with a dark. The darkest area is back, you know, in this poof ball ponytail, whatever it is, going on behind her normal hair. And add a little bit of highlight right here to give you an indication that that's what's there. Okay. And then I just start building from mid-tone to a higher highlight, and then mid-tone to a darker shadow. But I'm not going to go into super tight detail as much as I would normally go. It would take too long, and it would take away from this kind of more cartoonish appearance that I'm going for. I don't want it to be too tight. Sorry for the noise of the pen hitting the tablet. That's just, I'm drawing furiously. A little bit for the, you know, just to get that shape down. And we'll take this almost to a black, almost. Keep it super dark. And then the idea is to put a little bit of these dark lines up in the highlight and a little bit of the highlight lines down into the black. That's how you get that rough texture in hair, any hair really. So I'll do this, grab my pencil tool, and then start throwing these in here and there. So it's not just a mass, you can see that it's got tendrils and threading and curls and whatnot. I mean, you could keep doing this and make it just this really beautifully detailed whatever, and I don't want to do quite that, but, and then you throw in some of the dark up here, and your eye merges the detail together. It's not it's a matter of detail, not color. Your eye is matching shape. All right, and then we'll go extremely light. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about her eyelids yet. She had colored mascara on, so that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to take and really push her hair out here so you can see the edge of it. There we go, that's good. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, and that'll work just about like that. I'm not looking, like I said, for overly detailed, so let's drop that layer down. Now, I'm going to go in with that pencil tool and add these little, you know, squiggles outside the shape to show that it's, you know, she's sweaty and it's frizzy and, you know, yeah, there we go. Okay, loving that. A lot of character there. Okay, good deal. Just checking things. Okay, there's the bow. Okay, now we're going to do the bow real quick. And the ears. Really quick, just a couple of lines, really. Nothing, I'm not going to over-render this at all. Like that. Like that. And we're going to go up to that same light orangey yellow kind of highlight. Throw that in. And I'll just go ahead and do the highlight for the bow too. And we're going to use the headband color for the shadow on that because it works well. There we go. Okay. And then the headband. I'm going to drop that down because that part's done. Okay. Where's the headband? Is it down? There it is. Okay. Even darker. All right. And then the same. I'll just pull it from out here. Right there. Let's do that. Okay. We will blend it just a tiny bit here because I don't want it to. There we go. Nice. All right. I'm going to do the eyelids last, so don't worry about that. Coffee cup. Do the coffee cup. This is it's a very light colored cup, so we're just going to really, really lightly. That is not right. Let's do this. You know what? I'm going to use a rough texture for that shade because it's cardboard. Yeah, I like that. It's good. And we will use a pure white for this because I'm just trying to work quickly here. There we go. And then drop that down. And then the drink sleeve. You know, you've seen them in coffee shops. You know what they are. Little cardboard deals. Same thing. Just follow the same shadow, except I'm going to put a couple of shadows underneath the fingers and around the hands because they're casting. Alright, we're going to go with a lighter stone color almost for the highlight here. There we go. And then for the lid, that's easy. It's a pure white lid, so we're just going to put in shadowing. Just like this. Okay. Nice. All right. So yeah, we're getting there. We're almost done. So I got to do the shoes, the eyelids, and put a little bit of shadow and background, and then we're done. So let me go to the shoes, get that done. It's only that front shoe that I'm worried about. So let's find that. All right. There it is. Okay. The back I'm not concerned with. And really all I have to do is get that highlight on because the strap is quite dark and opaque. And we're just going to blend just a little bit. So we're going to do it this way and give it some texture. There we go. That looks good. Okay. Same deal. Here, now these had kind of a weird cork kind of wood grain thing going on. It was kind of odd. So we're going to pull some of her skin color and shade some in there with that. And you know, just add some kind of lines in there because that's what it looked like. We're gonna do this, and then I'll add some darker lines in the shadow area. I'm just kind of, like I said, that back shadow foot I'm not too worried about, but I still need to put some of the same kind of elements in. There we go. Just need to add some highlight. And my dog, if you can hear him, he's just going crazy. Oh, wrong one. There we go. And a little bit of that reflected light. Okay. Let's go back to full picture. Yeah, it's working. All right, so let's get that eye done. Okay. Now, like I said, she had blue eyeshadow on. It was wonderful. So I'm going to use the same. I don't want it to be too brilliant. I'm going to pop one of the colors here from her jeans and see what that looks like. You know, it was. And it's not quite brilliant enough. Let's bring that up just a little bit. There we go. It's too dark. It's a matter of playing with it, I admit. There we go. It was something else. I mean, you know, it's... I'm not one to judge women's makeup decisions. This was interesting. And, you know, one wonders if she was wearing it because she was at Disney, and that's a possibility. You see people dressed up and whatever. They, you know, interesting note, they do not allow adults to dress up in costume and go into the parks. It gets kind of weird if they allow that, so they don't allow adult cosplayers, but they do at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. That's the only time they allow it. So just, yeah, it's more of a cone shape, so you gotta keep that in mind as far as shading goes. All right. Oh, there we go. And I am going to add more of that warm highlight. I just needed to give it a little bit of a lighter cool color there for some reason. I just made it feel better for me. I don't stick hard fast to any specific single rule, but again, diffused, not too shiny. You know, it's got a little bit of almost an old world cartoony quality to it. You know, when somebody wanted to show mascara, they would show really thick bands for the highlights, and that's not quite what we're going for here. All right, let me add the shadow on the ground. Put a little bit of blue sky behind her, just for fun. And we will be done. Let's do that. Not to be too weird. You know. And I don't spend too long on this. I don't spend really all that much time, but because it's behind her and I can paint wherever I want. It'll fill in gaps anyway. And nobody's a perfectly round shape. This is obviously a perfectly round cast shadow. Nobody's like that. So what I do is this. I'll go in with a blending watercolor tool and go through it and kind of spread it out a little bit, make it a little bit more natural. And I'll get rid of the black circle underneath in the sketch, or on top I should say, in the sketch. Yeah, I need to get rid of that little bitty thing right there. That's not working for me. Some of this. Some of this. There we go. Okay. Then I'll go back up to the drawing layer and nix this this circle. Okay. Now I will have to erase some of the blue background because I left it. You'll see it through her eyes and through the coffee cup lid. So we're gonna just a general. I don't want it to be too warm, too cool. There's that perfect color that I'm looking for. I'm gonna get my airbrush, make it real big, and just give it a nice general. Oop! I didn't put it behind her. Wow. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, now you can see the blue through her eyes because I didn't, do anything. I also need to add a little bit of shading. So we'll get rid of that, get rid of that. Erase it from the cup lid. Usually I'd paint a white where her eyes are so that I wouldn't have to worry about erasing. It would just be there, but I'm trying to work fast, so it's not a big deal. Let me get rid of some of this. There's a little bit of eyeshadow that I don't want creeping down There we go. Okay. So, just got kind of these, you know, you never, ever, ever want to leave an eye white, because an eyeball isn't perfectly white. It's got veins, it's got shape, it's got form and shadow, just like anything else. So, you take it real easy. I'm going to take the opacity way down and just give an indication right there. Okay. And then I'll blend real carefully, really, really carefully. There we go. Okay, good deal. You know, the other thing we could do, and I like doing this a lot, is pick that white. Clouds. I like adding in some clouds, so we're going to do that background layer. And you know, there's this watercolor tool is good because it blends into the background. We're going to take that opacity back up again. And that's the other thing, you could play with opacity here and make the clouds look really realistic if you wanted to, but and play with size, you know, brush size and whatnot. Got this kind of, you know, not too realistic. They're cartoony, but you know, somewhat realistic clouds going on in the background, just indicated, real rough. I'm not going to be like Bob Ross and say happy little clouds, but you can make them happy little clouds if you want. And there you have it. Here's the attitude-filled latte-drinking Chicka girl. Last thing I got to do is just give it a little signature. And there you go. So here's the full size. So thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in more of my work, please, like I said, hit like, hit subscribe, share the video if you so dare. And you can also, if you wish to buy my work, there are books of it, and I'll show you the sales page real quick. My website is TKYLEGENTRY.com. That's TKyleGentry.com. And you can go there and click the store link, and you can also see the rest of my galleries there as well, and there are links to Instagram, Facebook, Behance, Twitter, Tumblr, back to YouTube here, all that. And this is my store site. Let me pull it up. So this is my store site. It's tkgentryart.storenvy.com. Here's my main site, and here's one of the galleries. You know, so you can go here and check out my other work. And like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let's build that audience. Please like and subscribe and share. And you guys are awesome. So you have a great day, and I will see you next time.